Hello all, welcome to another endgame study of the Solving Other Studies to Improve Chess Calculation series. This composition for our practice was composed by the Belarusian chess composers Georgi Afanasiev and his friend Evgeny Dvizov. They composed a lot of studies together, and this one I think it's a brilliant one for us. As always, I suggest you watch the guide if you haven't. If you are already prepared for the practice, then the main countdown of 10 minutes will start, and then I catch you up to start the guided solution. And here we are. I find this position very interesting because, of course, I could go with the right move, but I prefer to approach this one in a different way. Let's analyze it. From the black perspective, of course, we have a rook against a queen, so not the ideal situation, but nevertheless, we have a pawn reaching promotion in one move, and of course, bringing the rook to e1 would save the day, if not for a win. And on the other end, because it's white to play, black is seeing something like, okay, if the king takes the rook, then I will be in a near stalemate position. So maybe I promote my pawn. When the queen takes the pawn, it's game over because it's black to play. Every other pawn is blocked, and the king can't move, and so it would be a stalemate draw. So from this perspective, we have found two teams for black. The first one is to try to bring the rook to e1 and to promote next the d pawn to a queen. So these are basically the first idea from black. And the second idea, if not possible going for this one, is to get the king in a stalemate draw where the other pieces need, of course, to sacrifice. So we get only the block the pawns and the king that at this moment can't go anyway. So it's white to play. And from here, we can see many moves. Of course, now I am going to show you the first one, the clever one. It's bringing the queen to h1. So now we are threatening to checkmate in a8. So we don't take the rook, but we go with a different idea. Before going, of course, deeper in the main line, let's see another important variation. Let's see what happens if I take the rook. So at first sight, it looks like, well, but isn't this going for a draw? Yeah, it looks like, but then it's black to play. So of course now black promotes the pawn to the queen. That was expected. And you may think, okay, if now white takes the queen, it's a stalemate. We get that position. The king can't move. The pawns are blocked. It's black to play. It's not check. It's a stalemate draw. But the game ain't over here. So instead, white takes the pawn on c3. Of course, now black needs to check the king. Let's go with e1. Looks the best because, of course, we are at both times challenge the king and the queen. And again, if the queen accepts the exchange, then we get that draw. Stalemate draw again for black. Would be lovely for black. But white still has another move. That is to go with the queen e5. So the idea now is if the queen takes the queen, then the king taking back releases one square for the black king. And after that, well, we have a majority of pawns and we have even a free pawn in the c file. So it's going to be an easy win for white. So now it's the first moment for you to think. Another countdown, 1 minute, stop if you need more, and then I catch you back to resume with the continuation. And don't forget, of course, it's black to play and to draw from here. And here we are. Of course, we want black to play and to draw. And so we can't accept the queen. Otherwise, as we saw, the king takes, and then there's an escape square from black and an easy win for white. So when playing with black, we need to find something like this brilliant move. Of course, going to e2 or e3 would work, of course, but I think e4 is very, very forceful. Of course, white can't take the queen again, because otherwise it would keep the stalemate draw on the other side. So let's say, for example, moves a pawn. Let's say going with the pawn to c3. So now the technique to draw, it's very easy. We play queen c6 check. The white queen can't block it, otherwise we just take it, and when the king takes back, the king is already in another stalemate draw, so the king needs to go to f5, and from here we sacrifice the queen again. We go again to e4. Notice that the queen taking doesn't work because it will be restricting the enemy king from escaping the stalemate draw. The king taking is the same, so the queen needs to go back, and so the king needs to come back. And again, we check it, and the king comes, and then we get a very fast threefold repetition draw. And if white takes our queen, it will be a stalemate draw. So let's go to the beginning. So this was an important technique that we saw from black to keep the draw. It's to sacrifice the pieces while keeping the king in a stalemate position. So what else can we do over here? Let's say, for example, we go outside of the reach of the rook. How can black now force the play? Well, over here it's simple. We go to the rook e1, as we saw on the first analysis of the position, and now white is in trouble, needs to be very careful. So taking the pawn, for example, but now black brings another queen, and queen and rook, it's black that it's going to win this one. So this one doesn't work also. Let's say another move. Let's say, for example, now with the queen, let's say we go with the queen a2. Of course, now here black simply checks, so to avoid losing the rook, so check first. The king moves, and now we bring the queen. And again, white is losing. So not easy from the starting position to find some moves that keep going for the win. Let's say now going with queen b1, so the idea is to check on b8, but of course it's black to play now, so we check in the front, and when the king takes, we promote now to the queen, and again we get this simple idea of sacrificing, and of course it's another stalemate draw. What else before going with the main line? Okay, I have here queen d1. This is another blunder, of course, because I think it's easy. We bring the rook, so the queen needs to move. Let's say it goes to f3, threatening checkmate in a8, but doesn't work. Why? Because we simply promote with black to a queen, and it's check. So it's not possible for white to recover from here. Maybe exchanging the queens, but now we are playing against a rook, and of course it's going to be black to win from here. So with a very rich starting position, we already saw that going after the rook directly doesn't work because of those ideas of stalemate from black, and we need to have that in consideration for the continuation with main line. So let's go for the main line. So now it's black to play. What can black do over here? So let's say something simple like, okay, let's block from the checking square, so it's white to play. And of course, over here, if you take the rook, then I can promote to the pawn to the queen. So it's white to play. What can white play over here? Well, I think it's simple. We just move the king away. So now we are threatening to take either the pawn that promotes to the queen or the rook without having any stalemate. There's still a moves from black. So maybe, of course, the rook may try to come back, but again, we keep the options open, and don't forget that we are always threatening checkmate in one, not in one, but of course, after the black sacrifices the rook to block it, then we take it, and it's a checkmate. I would say unavoidable checkmate, sorry. And so we keep going on, but of course now we just go with the queen to a position where it can enter the 8th rank for the checkmate pattern. And so what can black do now? Okay, sacrificing the rook, so he accept it, and then we get the draw. Well, it's not going to be a draw because we can accept it, and when the black promotes to the queen, we can check. The king may come out, but then we have checkmate in one. So it's not possible for black to avoid it on this line of bringing the rook to block the check. What else can black do over here? Let's say, for example, it goes to e1. So if it goes over here, it's so simple. We just go with our main idea and checkmate it very fast. Okay, now let's go for the serious moves. Of course, black will try to sacrifice the rook. So the main idea over here, it's simple. We already saw something like this one, is to offer the rook to sacrifice and go to the stalemate draw. So it's time again for you to get another countdown of 1 minute and try to find the continuation move from here. And maybe you are going to be surprised with this one, I'm guessing, because the right move is to accept the sacrifice, and you are wondering, okay, but wasn't we in a variation before that we saw that sacrificing all pieces, it's going to be a stalemate draw in the end? Well, maybe not. Let's say, for example, we move away with the king. Well, this is a big blunder because now we can't avoid the queen coming to the table, and of course now I can try to keep the draw. It's the only way to keep the draw, otherwise I'm going to play against a queen and a rook, so I am forced to go for the draw. Of course, now the rook blocks, the queen takes and takes, and in the end the king can't move, is not check, and it's another stalemate draw. So yes, this was not expected probably, unless you can keep the calculation very deep, and that's why we are here for the practice, to start to see different options from the variations that we have previously analyzed. And so here the correct move is to go with accepting the rook. Of course, now the next move from black is very obvious. It promotes the pawn to the queen, and again, of course, we can't accept it, otherwise it's going to be a stalemate draw. But as in the first variation that we saw, where black played for a draw, where we stop the solution for the first countdown, and then we get this one. So the queen, instead of taking, goes for a block. So now it's black to play. Again, we already know what's going to be the move. It's very similar to that variation. And of course, black is going to go with the queen d4. Notice that over here, if going with the queen d2 doesn't work, because we just moved the king to the side. So again, the black can take the queen, of course, and now from here we are able to go to a checkmate. So not possible for black to lose tempo over here with moves that doesn't go directly to the aim of the draw, of the stalemate draw. So the queen goes to d4. So again, it's white to play, and another minute for you, and then I catch you up to go until the end of the solution. I hope it's being fun for you. And over here, we need to find what is the right move from white. Of course, we can't accept the queen. We already know that. It's going to be a stalemate. On the other side, we are not also going to release the queen. We can't move it because it's also pinned from black. Notice that this is an incredible endgame study where black is sacrificing the queen every time. And so if we go to c6, you find the right move because going to the other side won't work. Why it won't work? Well, I think it's not that hard that we see that we can go with a check. The king goes to d2, to d7, sorry. And over here, the clever way to draw, it's so incredible. Another beautiful sacrifice. The queen goes to e6, and it's impossible now for white to keep the game going on. It needs to accept, otherwise it's black, it's going to play. So if it takes, it's a stalemate draw. If it takes with the king, it's the same thing. So the only way possible was to go with the king c6, but of course black will keep going on sacrificing the queen. So again finds another way. It's going to be queen e4. Again, I can take it because I would be blocking the king to escape. Of course, the king needs to move. Again, the same situation. If it goes to the previous square, we just repeat the position, so there's no progression over there. So the only way is to go to c5. And again, black sacrifices the queen with queen e5. And again, if we go back, we repeat it, and so we need to keep on. And so we circle around our own queen. Again, another easy move to find out, it's going to be queen e6. And again, the king needs to go around the queen because coming back again, as we saw, it's going to be a sacrifice. And over here, the endgame study ends, but I'm going to continue so we can see what is going on, why it ends over here. Because from here, black can't go with the usual sacrifice near the queen because we can take it and then it's check. And because of this allows the king to really escape. So let's say one variation over here, because let's say we go to d7, so we pin the queen in the same way, but now of course the king can come back. And it can come back, why? Because the queen is not close to the e5 square. Notice that because it circled around from here to here to here, now it was not possible for the queen to come to d6. It's not possible now to go back to e5 and keep the draw alive. So the queen probably checks it again, but now the king simply goes on until grabs the pawns, hides away. Notice that the king is now a bit far away, and it's impossible for white, for black, sorry, to keep going on. And this is going to be an easy win from here for white. It was crazy with sacrifices all around since the beginning of the position, but I hope you have enjoyed as I have. And as always, I catch you up with future studies. Bye bye.